Wait, why you didn't have a goatee before? I don't even know. We've been doing this 30 episodes. I don't even know what your
No,
face looked like.
I didn't have a goatee before. I had the mustache though, and so I
But so
left it.
then we still had this.
No, I didn't. It wasn't connected. I always keep it like
What's the
low.
difference?
I,
If it's connected, it's a goatee. If it's not, what is it?
it's just it's a mustache and a goatee, right? Like I always kept the three. I had the mustache, my little Fu Manchu, and then my goatee, and then my little goatee here. But I didn't have the full goatee. So I let it go, man. It was like I was like, yo, let's mix it up. Let's go back to baby face Reg.
Yeah, I used to rock that for a while with the baby face and then the dirt on the chin.
The dirt on the chin. That's what you call it?
Yeah, well, it looks like you got pushed in the mud and only your chin fell in.
I mean, I don't know if you can reference mud and black people at the same time. That don't feel right. I don't know.
Black people fall in mud also.
Yeah, I know. That reminds me of a story from college. There was this girl, I'm not going to say her name, but she started to see this guy. I think he was a rugby player. And she played soccer, and he had an issue with her being friends with the basketball players, or just even, the black players on the team.
Oh, wait, so they were both white?
They were both white. And he said to her one time, yo, I don't even know if I want to start off like this. First off,
this is how we open it, dude.
I know.
Coffee going. Heart rate pumping.
Yeah, really. How about this? Let's do the intro.
All right. What's up, everybody? I can't wait to hear Reggie's racist tale. This is Sal. This is Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Steele.
And welcome to Spitballin. Let's get to it. So
this is my senior year in college.
Say? Yo, man. Was he a rugby player or football player? I think he was a rugby player.
I mean, rugby, I would lean more towards for, maybe you got that European extremism, them Aussie racists, whatever it could be.
Yeah, but this just a regular ass white dude. This is a regular ass white dude who wasn't good enough to play football, and not no
classic
disrespect.
American racist.
Yeah. This was homegrown racism right here. This is the good old American way, right? This is the good old US of A racism, right?
Okay.
Made right here in the USA, right? So, yeah, exactly. Throw in a little bit of fear, throw in some criticism, throw in some
little
lack
dick.
of a little Peter, and then throw in a lack of ambition, right? So yeah, man. So she started dating this guy. And I had never heard this term before, but she and I were talking. Like I said, she played soccer. So as an athlete, we're always around each other at some function or something, or even just in the cafeteria, walking through whatever. And she said, I think his name was Scott, but she said that he had a problem with her being friends with the mud people.
Wow.
Wow.
I've never heard that one either, man.
Hey, man, I grew up in Alabama. I never heard that shit before. And it hit me some type of way. Like straight up, when she told me that, I went back to in my senior year, we lived in the townhouses on campus. And in my townhouse, it was me and Mockley, AJ and Jamie, and Mike and Lamont. So it was the six of us, and we were black. It was a 3-bedroom, and we called it the Black House. Like it was welcome, like all the black students on campus were welcome to come to our place and hang out. We had like Sega Genesis, and we would cook, and we had music, and the doors would be open. It was just like, yo, come by the Black House and hang out, right? I mean, we only made up 3% of the population on campus, right? You know what I mean? So it's not like it's a whole lot of us, but it was just a space where you can come and hang out. Hey, dude, when I told my suite mates or my roommates that this dude called us mud people, yo, I'm talking about brothers grab bats and all kind of shit. Like, yo, let's go handle this shit right now. Like, I was like, nah, man, hold up, chill. Just know, right? Like, we ain't finna get kicked off campus, right? Like, it ain't gonna be that bad. He ain't brave enough to say it to our faces. So I was like, yo, we're not gonna go do anything, but just know that that's how he get down, right?
This girl was dating him?
Yeah.
Was she still dating him after the mud people reference?
It didn't last long after that. I give her credit.
It's so crazy that then she went and told you right away, and then like,
well, she didn't come and tell me right away, but it was one of those things where I asked her how things were going, right?
It seemed like it was on the way out. Then, if she's saying that, and she should know. I mean, that's kind of messed up.
Yo, I no, hey man, I never heard anything like that. And the fact that when you're like, yeah, black people fall in the mud, it was just like it all came back like, oh shit, like that might be a thing. I don't even know if it really is a thing, but it's I just know that this
Wow.
dude said it and I heard it and it made me feel a certain type of way. And a
Oh
bunch,
yeah.
yeah, and
Well,
me and a
that's
bunch of other black dudes was ready to go and kick some ass.
yeah, I've never heard that. It sounds like a group of villains in a sci-fi film or something. Where like avoid the
Right.
mud people, here they come. But
Right, like the swamp people. Like I feel like that would be a fight: the mud people versus the swamp people. Who's gonna win? The kind of moist ones or the dry
right.
ones, right? So
Well, anyway, with all that, your goatee looks nice, Reg. It did
thank
not
you.
look like it fell in any mud or any material.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I
Nice and
appreciate that.
full.
So you like the clean shaven,
I mean,
the
it's
baby
cool.
face?
I rocked that for a while, and
Do it.
I
Yo,
might
do it
go
next
back.
time. Next episode. Come on.
Next
Let's
episode,
how
I
about
don't
we start a
know,
campaign to cut off the mustache and just
because
go
I
straight
can't
with this.
grow here. This is growless. I can't grow this area. It's
I think
barren.
I think Sal just made up a new word, everyone who's listening and watching. It's growless.
It's
Right here.
growless up here.
Right,
This is a
right.
growless area. Torched,
Right here, Sal
scorched
said.
earth.
He said, if you look right here, so right here, the hair, this part of the face is growless, over here is growless too. I got a patch right here. This is why I can't grow a beard. I got a patch right here where no hair will grow. Like
Growless
just
patch.
it's growless. It's growless. So
That's a growless patch.
so
All
yo
right,
man.
so all right. Well, you had a good segue into what you just opened up with. I had my Madden. I wanted to play some Madden yesterday, and I set it up. And usually, like every week, they update the roster, right? And it takes like 5 minutes tops. And it took
Wow, that's cool.
oh yeah, it's kind of cool. Like if people are
Yeah.
hurt, they put them on the bench, and you're like, well, I'll
Wow,
put
I
that
didn't
guy
know that.
back in. Oh yeah, it's next level.
Yeah.
And but it took over an hour yesterday. I'm like,
To
the
upgrade?
hell? Yeah, I was like, what's taking so long? And then it hit me.
It's your Wi-Fi, bro.
No, it's deeper than
Oh,
that.
oh,
They had to take Jon Gruden out of the football game.
oh, that's was he all over the game?
Well, I think
in the
they have the
cutscenes.
coaches simulated on the sidelines, so I believe they had to go in there and take out the Jon Gruden. So that's why it took so long for me to play.
There you go. Now look.
So this matter is affecting us all in different ways.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't. I mean, I've seen the headlines, right, and I've seen misogynistic comments, racist comments, homophobic comments, but I don't know exactly what was said.
I got it right here, Reg.
All right,
I got it right here.
All right, there we go.
Now here's the thing.
Okay.
Now, well, the first thing he said is this guy Demarius Smith. He said he had lips like rubber lips, like the Michelin tires or something like that, or the Michelin Man. Okay. Now, people like Jon Gruden so much that this came out on like Friday. Mm-hmm. And then he said, well, I don't have a racist bone in my body. I said it because I associated big lips with lying, and so much so that everyone let it pass. People were like, all right, one email 10 years ago, he says about lying. Stephen A. Smith, even the black ESPN announcer, or he even said, like, he defended it. He's like, it's, whatever. Well, then after the weekend, whole bunch of emails came out over like 10 years. Okay. Oh. And these are work emails. It's not just like he's, trying to be funny with friends. Like he's fucking writing this to his, to
his superiors or his
it's a general manager in the Washington football team. So,
okay.
And he was working as an announcer at the time. So,
so Gruden, that's right. Gruden wasn't on the team. He was an announcer.
Gruden wasn't playing football. He was on ESPN at the time. But then the stuff he said, they haven't shared much. They only shared like the lip thing. And then he called the commissioner, Roger Goodell, I don't know, can I say the F word towards homosexuals you would use?
Okay, that's enough. We know.
Yeah, so he used that.
He called him that. Okay.
He called him that, and a clueless anti-football pussy. Oh, and then he also, when Michael Sam was coming in, he felt that the Rams coach shouldn't feel pressure to draft queers. So that's a little, yeah. Now you're getting to see like the pattern. It's not just one thing; it's
Yeah.
constant, demeaning.
Yeah.
And then Damaris Smith said something, and this is very interesting, and it kind of goes back to how you open. But he's like, the email from Gruden confirms that the fight against racism, racist tropes, and intolerance is not over. This is not about an email as much as it is about a pervasive belief by some that people who look like me can be treated as less. So it's the same idea. Like, you put them tropes on someone, and then you can think of them less, talk about them less,
Oh
call them
yeah. I
fucking
mean,
mud people. Like that, it's the whole category. Don't even talk to them.
right. Well, I mean, this is what they did, right? Systematically. What they do is they systematically start to take you apart and demean you and degrade you. So it allows them to treat you poorly. I mean, that's what happened with slaves. They basically thought of them as livestock, right? As animals and beasts. So it allowed them to do heinous acts against them without having any empathy, right? There was no, in their mind, it's like, oh, I'm not cutting off the foot or the hand of a person. Oh, this is an animal, right? Like we tried to get away. So I got to treat them as such. So yeah, man. I mean, I get it. It's yeah, it's true. It's I don't even know how to respond to it. It's just kind of what he's saying is true. Although the thing that Gruden said at first, he was talking about it, being a liar.
Yeah, I've never heard that. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I don't know about the big lips.
I think he got caught and he's just trying to make something up, and they're like, oh, it's just one, and then they let it slide because it's 10 years ago, and now they're like, oh wait, for like 8 years this guy's been talking funny.
Yeah,
you know what? And I don't fucking feel bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look. I got no allegiance to Jon Gruden.
Well,
right?
yeah. Well, people got this like cancel culture idea, and I'm like, yo, man, if you are saying fucked up shit and you're going to be coaching a lot of different players of different backgrounds and stuff, people don't want that around.
No, you can't have. And plus, I mean, this is 10 years ago, right? This isn't like 40 years ago or 50 years ago.
Right.
This is 10 years ago.
2012.
Yeah, exactly. Like
we had a black president at the time.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of know what you can and can't say. Like there was a guy, there's this guy that I didn't work with. He was a captain where I worked, right? And he said, this had to be like 7 years ago, where he made a comment about like, he's like, well, I try not to, let's go mess with the colored people. And I was like,
he said that to you?
No, hell no. He said it to someone else. And then they said to me, like, yeah, this guy, Scott is messed up. And Scott, it's a reoccurring name. Scots are kind of
racist ass Scots.
Yeah, if you're a white guy named Scott, you may want to go by your middle name.
Scott, you're racist.
Yeah, exactly. You want to go by your middle name. But he was like, this was like 7 years ago, and he referred to some kids as colored. And you go, really? I mean, it's been a long time since we've been colored. Now, obviously in the 50s, they had the white section and the colored section, and that was a part of the lexicon. Like that was a part of society at that point, right? It was acceptable. And then they went from colored to Afro-Americans, right? And then it was
that's right.
Right. And then it was like African Americans. And then now is the debate of like, am I just black or am I African American? Personally, I just like to say I'm brown because my goatee is black and my skin is brown. But
that
whatever.
Is true. It's not a real black. I mean,
yeah,
it's so. But nobody
and white people are not
brown
white.
Over you prefer being called brown over black.
Well, I mean, black is fine. Like a black American, which is fine. But and I'm about to get deep right here, right? And you know me, I'm about to get deep. The thing is that white people aren't white. Right? They're not stark white, right? Like you're not white, right? You're like, yeah, exactly.
Some of those redheads might be.
They're a little pasty. And then black people aren't black in the sense of like how black something is. But when you have race issues between two different people and you calling one white and one black, they're the polar opposites, right?
Right.
One is the absence of light, right? And the other is the collection of all the light, right? So it's I think on a subconscious level, it's almost hard. It'd be almost impossible for the two to come together if it's always going to be the blacks against the whites, right, which appear to be completely opposite of each other. Whereas the fact of the matter is, I'm brown, right? I'm brown and I'm not black. And then you're pink or not even pink or like opal or something. I don't know, whatever color.
Well,
But it's just
well,
it's
it's
just about
funny, even
language
like when Italians first came to the US and then they,
or olive
you know what I mean?
complected.
They
Right.
wanted to be white, and then some considered them not necessarily black, but they didn't consider them white.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then they say what it's funny. Joe Bartnick used to always say it's like what changed for Italians. He's like, they got to fight along the whites in World War II because they segregated the troops.
Right.
He's like, and Joe fucking DiMaggio. Because Joe DiMaggio, is true. He had the whole nation following him, and he was as dago as they looked.
Yeah, and he had
very
Marilyn Monroe
Italian.
too.
Yeah. And he holds the greatest unbreakable record in baseball history with 56 straight games with that base hit. No one's ever been close. I think the closest is like 40 something.
Wow, that's impressive. Joe DiMaggio. And I know Marilyn Monroe broke his heart.
Yeah, he was it didn't work out with Marilyn.
Did he die of a broken heart?
No, I don't know. I think he just got older and he died. I saw his grave because a friend of mine passed away up in SF like years ago, and he used the same cemetery. I think it's like Colma. It's probably Colma. They're all in Colma.
Okay.
But yeah, there's
Joe DiMaggio is buried in San Francisco, huh?
Yeah, he's from there. I think him and Marilyn Monroe got married at the church in North Beach.
Oh, big church
I
right
take
there.
that back. I take that back. Him and Marilyn got married, I believe, at City Hall. I want to say it was SF City Hall.
Okay.
But then I think his first marriage was there at St. Peter and Paul Church.
Oh, right there, the Washington Square Park.
Washington
right
Square. That's a cool little spot right there.
Yeah. I got a friend who got married there too. Wow, Joe DiMaggio, 57 games or 56 games?
Yeah.
56 games straight. Wow, that's impressive. Man. Italians the whole thing is supposed to be like olive complected. You know what I mean? Like if you want to break down semantics.
And it depends, and even that's different. Like Italians in the South are darker and stuff, and Italians in the North, they got red hair a lot. So if you ever meet someone, I always could tell. Like my buddy Stefani, he's total redhead, but he's Northern Italian. And even those, I told you, I had that great story when I first moved to San Francisco, and I was looking for a suit. And I was at for my suit selling job, or my copier selling job.
Okay, and I was gonna say you had a suit selling job too.
No.
Hold on, real quick, just for the record. I feel like that would be like one of the hardest jobs ever, to be a door-to-door suit salesman. Show up with just a closet, like, all right, so let's find a suit for you, sir. Okay, all right, go ahead.
So I go into the store, and this guy sells suits right there in downtown San Francisco, liberal San Francisco, right on Sutter Street or something. And his old Italian guy's in there, right? And I'm like, I'm talking to him, and I'm like, I need to get a suit for work. And I thought maybe I could get what I'd call the Dago discount, right? And I was like, hey, you're Italian, huh? I was like, so am I. I was like, where are you from? He's like, I'm from Napoli, and I told him my father's from there. He's like, where's your father from? And I'm like, Sicily. And he's like, when he saw his whole face change. And then I called him out. I was like, what's the problem? You got problems with Sicilians? He said, no, I didn't say that. He's like, only thing is 90% of you motherfuckers can't even read or write. The only thing
that's right.
He's using a fucking blade.
Oh my God. I remember a story.
Yeah, this is a suit salesman. And
that's a suit salesman. At that point, he's like, keep your money. I don't need your money.
He's like, I ain't sell to no goddamn Sicilian.
Exactly. Holy cow. I just need to I gotta clarify this. Is the word Dago, is that supposed to be offensive or demeaning?
So
like
I
mean, I don't know. Can I go into a place? Can I go into a place of like, yo, man,
it's probably frowned upon if you say it.
Right. So I'm just
curious. I can say, but it's not bad. It's not like WAP is bad.
WAP is bad. Okay.
So
So what about the N-bomb? Like if I go into a place and I'm like, yo, I went into this place hoping to get the nigga discount. You're like, yo, can I get a nigga discount, bro?
That's pretty funny. I thought that was
like, what's up, black man?
See, it's the alliteration. the D and the D. See, I love alliteration,
Right,
so that's
right.
why. I mean, well,
You
looking
say it
back
with,
at it,
so basically what you're saying is you say it with, like, depending on how you say it, like if I go in and be like, yo, what's up, man? Yo, can I get the nigga discount? What's up? Right? Like I say with a smile, it's okay. But if I go in and be like, yo, let me get that nigga discount.
they'd be like, ooh,
And be like, oh
ooh,
shit. Like that
ooh.
sounds more like robbery. That sounds like
Well, if we
a
could put
clap.
it, yeah, if we could break it up, I'd say WAP would be like throwing the ER on the end of your version,
The
and
N word.
Dago would be throwing the A on the end.
Ooh, still a thin line. I mean, it's
It's
still
very thin.
controversial.
Well, when I named my album Little Dago, and then iTunes censored it,
Yeah,
so it would say little
that's
D asterisk asterisk O,
yeah.
and then I would do like I did radio and stuff. I remember I did radio in Portland, and I was headlining shows, and I was advertising it, and they were talking about it, and they said it. And one guy I think was like, "Can we even say this?"
Yeah, exactly. Like
It's
I
not
don't
really a
know.
fun because it's so old. Like it's not even like it's Italians are
Yeah, I think you
considered white when they try. You can't hide behind the well, I'm Italian, I'm not white. Though it's funny, last night a guy just said that to me. This Mexican guy was like, oh, so and so. He's like, well, you're Italian, so it's all right. He's white. He doesn't understand. And I was like, he's talking about someone else. And I was like,
yeah.
all right, cool.
Yeah, man. I don't think we can I think we probably got to drop that one, bro. I mean, and now this gets into like political correctness and what's acceptable and not acceptable, which can
But I
easily
mean,
say,
I'm a lot. I mean, I'm Italian. I can't say it.
yeah, but it's still if
It's
you're
not
saying it,
good to drop in casual
well, I was
conversation.
gonna say, because then even if you're Italian and you can say it, if you say it, casually around people, then they may get offended by it,
Right,
right?
right,
You
right,
know what I
right.
mean? Like as a black dude, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I can own it and say the N word as much as I want. But if I'm saying it around other people who are being offended, then is it still acceptable, right? Even
Right,
if I can, you know what I mean? So,
right.
well, hold on, let's finish this Jon Gruden thing first.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I think first
So
off,
now he's gone. He's
he's
done.
gone.
He resigned, and I don't think he'll ever work again.
Yeah, he might be done. I mean, this is good, man, because I just talked about this yesterday with a friend of mine. It's about the cancel culture and about redemption, right? Um, and we'll come back and we're speaking specifically about Michael Richards, right? And
Okay.
his whole situation. First off, let me just say this. For Gruden, the mistake he made, and I'm not trying to defend him, but he did this over work emails, right?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
he
He
put
he
shit
did it
in
over,
writing.
yeah, he put it over work
It's
emails, and the problem is that those emails, for people who don't know, if you have a work email, anything that you say and do in those emails is basically the property of the company, right?
right,
For the most part.
right.
So
I mean, I think
so
it was yeah. I guess it was work emails. I don't know. He's emailing the general manager. Doesn't matter. Yeah,
well,
he got all
but he's
these
not affiliated
emails.
with the team. He's affiliated
Yeah,
with ESPN. But if it's like
it just
at
seems like
ESPN,
business. It was business, and there's probably a lot worse stuff in those emails that's not being shared.
possibly. But what I'm saying is, and this is just out of some sheer curiosity, if those conversations were private and he said them, I don't know, in person to a person or just kind of, I don't know, over text message, do they carry the same weight as far as, yeah, I guess they do. Because that's the whole thing too now is like, even if you say something in private, that means that you're harboring some feelings. And once that comes out, then people believe that those feelings could in fact impact how you treat people at work, even if it's
Right,
not work related, right? Like whatever you do in your private
right.
life can affect that just because that's a mentality. So I asked and answered my own question. Now, so this is the thing about redemption. Can he redeem it? Because you said he may never work again, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone yesterday about Michael Richards, and they were saying that he is a racist. All right. That's what they said. They said Michael Richards, after his whole tirade on stage, he was a racist. And I said, well, I mean, he had a bad moment.
Hey, a bad night.
He had a bad night. And they said, well, yeah, I get that he had, I said he had a bad night. And so does that one bad night, does that dictate who he is for the rest of his life? Right. And their response was, well, that was a pretty bad night. right? Like some of the stuff he said, he went in pretty hard and deep, right? Like he went with, referencing people as animals and, using inbound. Like he went all the way in. He went like down south 1937, 1921 racists, right? Like he went all in. And I said, well, I don't know. And then this is what I said. I said, well, does he have, I said, he never did anything to redeem himself, right? Like you could have that bad night. And he submitted an apology that came from his PR people.
I remember he was on Letterman apologizing.
Oh, see, I didn't see that on Letterman. Well, I think
so awkward.
Was it awkward?
Well, Seinfeld was on there, and Seinfeld asked
that's right
to have it on. And remember, we know Eddie Brill, and he was saying Letterman was pissed that Jerry just comes on to his show and then decides we're going to have Michael Richards on too. And then Michael Richards comes on. It's so bad. He tries to like, I'm really sorry. And the crowd was laughing at first because they thought it was a joke.
They thought he was joking.
They just thought it was such a weird moment. And even Jerry goes, it's not funny. Stop laughing.
That's your Jerry Seinfeld impression.
It just seems so it wasn't.
Why are you laughing?
It didn't seem real, dude. Sincere. It didn't seem, it didn't
seem sincere. Okay, so I faintly remember that now. And so my argument was this. I was like, okay, he had a bad moment and he did this thing and we all saw it, right? And I said, but the reason why he's still labeled as that is because I don't think that he did enough afterwards to try to redeem himself, right? Like you can come from a place of like, hey, look, I did this thing. I made a mistake. I was out of control and I said some heinous things. But now I have learned, I've studied, and I've whatever it is you need to do to figure out how to manage that and understand where it came from. And then you show back up, right? Like you have to show up again to prove that you aren't this thing. Because I truly believe that once you get labeled something, hey man, it's hard for that label to be removed.
Oh, totally.
Especially if the people around knew you as that thing, right? Like, for example, if you're the guy who's late to work every day, right? And everyone goes, all right, there's late Sal. He's the late guy. In order for you to get rid of that, it almost takes, if you were late for 10 years, you have to be on time for 20 years, right? 20 years to erase that. And the moment you're late one time, they'd be like, oh, see, there you go. I told you, late Sal. He's back in the mix. So I'm just saying that it's hard to get rid of labels, but in order to get rid of the labels, you have to show up. Like he did a thing that was heinous on stage, terrible. And then his friend tried to bring him on to redeem him on some level so he can apologize. And then he disappeared again. It was like, nah, man, that wasn't enough.
I mean,
I think you got to do more. I think you got to do more.
Okay, as a comic, you and I, we remember when that happened. We were watching it, and to me, and I mean, he was a guy who's not a very funny comic, really. Okay,
he wasn't great.
He's a comic actor.
He's a comedic actor. I agree.
He's up there on stage, bombing.
Yeah, he's having
getting heckled probably, and then he tries to shock and be funny, and it was not. Well, and now I don't necessarily mean.
I don't think he was trying to shock and be funny. I think he legitimately got angry on stage. I think.
I don't know what he was trying to do. Whatever it was, he wasn't a professional enough comedian to handle the situation.
Right.
And he tried a route that was not the right way.
No, it was not the right way.
He went the wrong way on a one-way street.
My favorite description of what happened is Dave Chappelle. You know what Dave Chappelle said about that?
I forgot.
He goes, this is how I know I am more comedian than black or whatever. He goes, 30% of me was like, yo, this dude is racist. This dude is wrong. He is racist, right? But then the 70% of me that's a comedian was like, whew, he's having a bad set. And I'm not saying that I necessarily felt that way. For me, honestly, watching the whole thing happen, I really felt like, yo, my man just straight up lost it.
Yeah,
right? Like,
that's what I just felt like. I don't think I don't think Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld were working with a racist guy for 10 years. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think, I don't think he's racist. I just think that he was trying to be hurtful. I think that he was really trying to be
Probably.
hurtful, right? He was trying to be hurtful.
I think he's
he
also
got
trying to
mad.
be funny, and I don't know what it was
Dude,
bad.
I can't sound. There's no way that I believe that guy was trying to be funny. Where he, at some point, where he goes, "You're a winner, you're a winner, you're a winner,"
Straight
right?
up,
Like,
yeah, that's true.
like
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, he lost his goddamn
he
mind.
lost his shit, right? Like, there's nothing. It's one thing if he's like, "Well, you will," blah, and you're like, but no, this dude was like,
Well, the
right?
only time I've seen him in the public since then was on Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee,
Okay.
and he brought it up again. It was very apologetic and stuff.
Yeah.
And do you ever see? I mean, I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I'm rewatching them again.
Okay.
And Larry David brought him in. This is not, I don't know, it was only a couple years after it happened. And
Okay.
I'm in the season now, I think it's season 7. And the whole thing is like people are bugging him to get do a Seinfeld reunion show, and he doesn't want to. And then he thinks, oh, maybe he could get back with his ex-wife, so he does it. So
Okay.
his own selfish reasons. So you do see
Of
that all
course,
the
Larry
cast
David.
come back in, but there's a scene because Larry David has JB Smoove's in it, and originally JB Smoove got into it because his family was like a hurricane family, and they
That's
moved
right, from Katrina,
but then
from Louisiana.
JB Smoove wasn't, he already lived in LA and he just moved in with them too. He's like, wait, you're not, he's like, no, man, I live here, but yeah, thanks for having me. And then even when they move out, they all leave, and JB's like, he's like, oh, so Larry's like, so what are you gonna do now? And he's like, I'm going up to my room, and he just goes back into his house. He goes to the room. But I think I'm not. I
gotta
think it
watch
was
this.
like,
I've never watched it religiously.
it's so good, dude.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
funny. I just love it. So anyway, he's doing this reunion show about doing the whole season about doing a reunion show, and there's a scene where like I forget what started it, but the JB Smoove and his family, I think, are around like craft table or something, and Kramer needed to get something and they got it instead, and he got really mad, and he comes running out and he's yelling at him. He's like, you guys make me so mad. He's like, if there was a word I could say to you to show you how mad this is making me.
Oh my
like,
God.
Larry David goes all in, bro. It's so
dude.
funny.
I got to give him credit for that one. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
To me, the art is, if you can make something funny that's not supposed to be funny.
Yeah, I mean, that's what comedians, that's what we do as comedians, right?
But see, here's the thing.
We make fun of the part of life that ought not be funny.
And this is why I do think comedians, when you first and foremost, you're trying to entertain. Okay.
Mhm.
So you're going to always say offensive stuff. I mean, like David Allen Greer had a thing that said, unless you're offending someone, you're not doing it right. Or many comics have said this line, right? There has to be, if you really want to push envelopes and stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's really about, hold your thought, because I don't want you to lose your thought. But I was going to say, I think that's more about just being honest and truthful, as far as, because we're like reporters of the world, right? Like, we're not beholden to anyone. So we're telling you what we see, our honest point of view of something.
But we're also trying to be funny.
Yeah, no, we're trying to be funny, but it's also like, I'm going to tell you what it is for me and what I experienced. So, and with that comes
you say stuff that you don't always really believe, but you're saying it to be funny.
See, I don't know. That's a hard one.
Because like people will say stuff that like, even if you're like playing dumb or anything. Anyway, what I was trying to say was with Michael Richards, he just lost his damn mind. But then you could go right into Chappelle. You bring up Chappelle, and now people call him transphobic because of his set. And I mean, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the set.
You haven't watched Closer yet?
I'll get
you haven't watched The Closer yet, Sal?
No,
How did you have not seen The Closer? Dude, we were supposed to talk about this today because I've watched it twice, and I'm about to go watch it a third time. And
all right, I'll watch it.
But this is the thing. Since you haven't seen it yet, we can't really delve into it. But I will say this: there are buzzwords, obviously, and people listen to a point, and then when they hear something they don't like, then they stop listening, right? And so then they take that little nugget and they run with it, and it's almost out of context, because this guy from the beginning, when he starts to talk about the whole thing, he's basically saying, look, there was a point in my life where I said certain words that I didn't know were offensive, but now I know. And so I don't say those words. My issue, and he goes on to say, my issue has never been with the LGBTQ plus community. My issue has always clearly been, if you go back and look at my body of work, with white people, right? And He even says, let's talk about what the definition of a woman is, right? Let's talk about the definition of a feminist, right? He's like, I looked it up, and the definition of a feminist is any person who believes that women should have equal rights. And he goes, interesting. They said any person, not a woman, but any person. And he goes, and based on that definition, I would define myself as a feminist, right? He talks about that. And then this dude covers everything. And he kind of goes into, and he says, if you look at my specials, dude, you just got to watch it, man. You got to watch it.
I'll watch it.
You got to watch
it. I do see
how
people take stuff out of context, but even when I like, but then like how the Netflix guy defended him is like, well, it's kind of different with comedy. Because first and foremost, you're trying to entertain. And that's even with Michael Richards. Like, I don't think he didn't put on a white hood and did a speech for a bunch of people like it's racist speech. He first and foremost, he was trying to entertain, and then this shit went off the rails. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so they're just, so like be like, oh, the guy's a Klan member. It wasn't a January 6th trying to break into the Capitol. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And so the same thing with Chappelle. Chappelle's a genius. He's not even close to like Michael Richards in stand-up world. Dude. But dude, he's also trying to entertain.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Dave is so smart. Dave is, when you say the word genius is absolutely applicable here. The guy is so layered, right? Like if you just try to take like one thing that he says, then you're totally disregarding all the other things below that, like within that, because it's, even when you watch this and you're a smart guy, you will be able to read between the lines, and you'll understand exactly what's happening. Like I said, I've seen it twice, and I know that there are these people who are offended by some of the stuff he said, and I'm literally trying to figure out where he was being offensive and not just being honest about what he's saying. One of the jokes that he has, he talks about what is a woman, right? And he goes, look, I know Caitlyn Jenner. He's like, I've met her. She's a nice woman. She is. He goes, but she was voted People's Magazine Woman of the Year, the first year that she was a woman. She ain't never had a period, ever, right? And he goes, they're basically saying that she's better than all you bitches in here. That's what those are his words. Than all you bitches in here. And he goes, and so then that makes you ask, what is the definition of a woman? Right. And when I heard that, I was like, ooh, I mean, if you were born a woman and you've been a woman your whole life, you bust your ass and you've been working, trying to accomplish something and achieve something and try to have some level of success, and you lived in this patriarchal society, and you've dealt with men, and you've dealt with being the only woman in the room, and you've worked your way up, and you've broken through barriers, and no one ever looked at you as Woman of the Year. But then a dude transitions from a man to a woman, and they call her the Woman of the Year. My other question is this: if there was a woman who transitioned from a woman to a man, would they ever give her the title of Man of the Year?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, here's
what's the definition? And oh, dude, you gotta watch it so we can talk about it.
Here's the thing, though. If okay, you could make fun of Caitlyn Jenner, whatever.
He didn't even make fun of her. He just basically saying, but that's not even about Caitlyn.
Right, but even what he just said there, if you're putting down, okay, you're ripping on Caitlyn, but then other people could take that and be like, well, that's how they could associate that with all trans people, and then trans people like, oh, I don't want you, just Caitlyn Jenner doesn't represent us. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I could kind of see where like.
Well, okay.
And Dave, it's like the third special he's going. It's like, well, and he said he's not going to talk about it anymore. All right. Then,
yeah.
All right.
But okay, look, and I understand this too, right? In this regard, for trans women, they are trying to say that he's saying that they aren't women, right? And for them, they are like, by all intents and purposes, I feel like a woman, and I feel like a woman, and I've done everything I can to appear as a woman, and that's what it is, and that's what we call you, and that's fine. I got no problem with that, no issues. Their issue is that by making that statement, they're saying that he's saying that they aren't real women. But he also goes on to talk about that gender is a fact, right? We all come into the world between a woman's legs. You were born a male, I was born a male. Even if you transition to a woman and you feel like a woman and you've had operations and surgeries and whatever the case may be, and you take hormones and whatever else, then you can appear a woman, but you were born a male.
They could have
right?
been born a male, but mistakenly.
No, I mean, okay, no, I mean, now you get technical because there are people who are born with both genitalia, and then the parents decide for them, and then that person.
Right. And I feel even, and anyone I've, interviewed, Morgan, who's trans, and anyone I've talked to, same with the gay community, they've known, a lot of people have known this since they were children.
Right. And they're,
suggesting they were born with this.
They were born with the idea, right?
Yeah.
But he's saying that there's
which is kind of like, well, I'm born a man, but so was Morgan, but Morgan and I aren't the same.
Right. You transition. I get it. But I say this too, though. Just imagine this. It goes both ways. I talked about this yesterday, and correct me if I'm wrong. You take a white guy who grows up in a black neighborhood. He grows up with a black family, he goes to black schools, he goes to a black church, he eats black food, what's considered black food, right? Like he's completely submerged in that environment. And then he grows up and he goes, yo, I'm a black dude. And they go, well, you're a white guy with black experiences. Does that make you a black dude? Because no matter what, you're still a white guy. It's the same thing where people say, as a black dude, they're like, oh man, you're acting white, you talk white, you sound white. It's like, no, I am black. I'm always black. Even if I do things that sound similar to what white people do, my default is a black guy. So maybe I'm a black guy who has mannerisms similar to white people, but that doesn't mean I'm white. It just means I'm a black dude. It's like, no matter what it is I do, I'm a black dude, right? Like, right. And so basically what Dave was saying, I mean, I get what he's trying to say. He's trying to say that gender is a fact, because he talks about this whole thing with J.K. Rowling and a comment that she made, and then that was that gender is a fact. And so the idea is that, yes, you may feel a certain way and you may act a certain way and dress a certain way, and people may respond to you a certain way, but because you're born one thing, he's saying that you can never truly fully be that thing. But on the other side of it, I'm saying and I've said, and you and I were just talking about this, but I'm like, but if everyone around you treats you a certain way, responds to you a certain way, looks at you that way, and you feel that way, then is that enough to say that you are that thing? Right? Because I mean, even as a black guy, if I bleach my skin and I try to go to white places and have what I think to be white experiences and act white, what I deem to be white, and act, even if that happens as a black person, I'm still just doing my best impression of what I think a white person is. I'm still, I can't be white, right? Yeah, and it's just a thin line, right? But see, he has another joke. Well, okay, let me just say this one part, because he has another line too. Hold that thought. He has another line where he's talking about, he's like, look, I'm not saying that they aren't women, right? He's like, he goes, first off, I have no problem with trans people. He goes, I love my wife, and I love her soft, wet, these are his words, her soft, wet pussy, right? And he goes, and I believe that trans women are women, but those pussies, you know what I'm saying? Right? That's exactly what he said. He said, but those pussies, you know what I'm saying? Right? I mean, they taste like pussy, but they like, it's like beyond pussy, impossible pussy, right? That's stupid. Right? He's like, that ain't blood, that's beet juice. That's what he says. Those are his words. So it looks like it, maybe even smells like it, tastes like beef. There's beef, and then there's beyond beef, or beyond burger, or impossible burger. And that's the whole thing. It looks like beef, it tastes like beef, it smells like beef.
Now here's the thing. Scientifically, people are born as a
everyone
male.
Starts off a woman. No, everyone starts off a
whatever.
Woman.
Yeah, but when you're born, people are born male wanting to be female, or born female wanting to be male. That happens. People aren't born wanting to be a different race.
Right, but I'm trying to, okay, all right, I'll go. I was just saying from the standpoint of something that we don't necessarily control. Right. But there are people who want to be different races. There have been
but scientifically, genetically, whatever, it's not in them. They're not born like that. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's not
Right.
scientifically a thing.
So the question is this. The question is gender a state of mind or an actual thing? Like a fact, like a factual thing. Because
It's
what we're saying
both.
is you can, it's both. So you're saying that you can be born one gender, which I truly believe. First off, let me just
And
go
some
on the
people might
record
be
and
born
say
with more estrogen or testosterone and they desire, you know what I mean?
exactly.
But
Yeah,
they're
we're not the
not, you're
same.
not scientifically born like that. If you're white and you like rap music, you want to become black, like, or that crazy, remember that woman who pretended to be
No, you're
black
right.
for,
You're right. You know what? And let me go back and recant that, because that will give the impression that I believe that you can choose to be something, right?
right.
Because when I talk about the race thing, that's actually like choosing. And I don't believe that, being gay or homosexual or lesbian or queer or whatever, I do not believe that that is a choice. Let me make that clear right now. I do not believe that that is a choice. I believe that that is a state of being, right? Like,
Can't you
you are
see from
being.
his bits or those jokes or those statements that some people could perceive it that way?
Now that I say it like that, then I kind of go, yeah, I can see how someone who feels like I'm not choosing to be this
Right.
person, this is who I am. And so now I'm transitioning the outside to feel like what I've always felt like. Like the outside now looks like
Right.
what I've always felt on the inside. But then, and I'm torn because I can almost see the other side too. And his goes back to just the idea, like just on some sheer, even if you're born mentally, you're born one way, and then physically you're born another way. And I think that he's saying that being born physically a certain way, it almost doesn't allow you fully to be what you think you are, which, yeah,
I
that could
mean,
be,
then it's
that could be fucked
also
up. That's fucked up. Yeah, because
it's
you can't,
also
no,
like,
it
and
is.
I get the point because of all the stuff he could talk about. He's talking about, and people give him crap for punching down because it's like, okay, well, now you're just talking about trans people again. And I get it. It's the same thing of
I don't
Richard
know if he's
Pryor did the
punching
same
down though.
stuff at the Hollywood Bowl when Richard Pryor went off on the LGBT community because, yeah, because of like white, it's the black plight versus the gay plight. You know what I
Right,
mean? And this one gets way more attention than this one. This one's been getting pushed down. We were slaves. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what
right.
it is. And it's both like, well, can't we just raise them both up?
He talks about that. He goes, my issue isn't with the LGBT community. He goes, in fact, if anything, I'm jealous of you. He's like, I look at your movement
Right.
and I go, how they've gained so much traction in such a short period of time. And he also goes on to tell a joke or a story about a situation where, he's sitting at a place where at a restaurant with his family, and somebody came up and they were trying to incite a riot, right? Or just trying to, bothering him and his family. And he goes, he looks over and he sees that their friends have their cameras recording him. And he goes, and I've seen this before. They do this with celebrities. They come in, they try to get you to say something dumb and stupid, make an ass out of yourself so they can get a meme or create some viral moment, right? And he goes, and so I walked over to him and I was like, you bitch ass, whatever. And then he realized, like, he's like, I didn't live up. He's like, I knew it was coming, but I still made a mistake and did it, right? And then he goes, and I realized, oh snap. I looked and I was like, uh-oh. I looked at the fingernails, like the guy had all his fingernails painted, and then he noticed a thing. He's like, oh. So now he's not calling what he deems to be a straight guy a bitch ass motherfucker, whatever. It's now, because that person's gay, now it's offensive, right? And so he goes into that whole situation, and then they get into an argument, and the person's like, you know what? I've already called the police. And he goes, now see, that's the thing. People can be gay and offended until they decide to be white again.
Right.
And that's his issue, right? Because he's like, because had that been a gay person, they would have never called the police, because when the police shows up, they don't see a straight black guy and a gay guy. They just see two black dudes. And that could be bad for both of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he breaks it down. It's so layered, man. The thing about Dave, and I love Dave, right? I also think that his specials, these Netflix specials, have, even from the very first one, I peeped it and I go, oh, This is his direct assault against against being PC, right? Like against and he talks about it, against trying to prevent people from being able to speak their minds, right? To be able to say what they need to say. And he goes, and with stand-up is, he says this in his Mark Twain, he's like, stand-up is like the last frontier of speech, where you be able to speak openly and candidly about anything without being, hopefully without being canceled. The other side of it too is, and I think it can be taken both ways, and I wish that the community would do this, but the fact that he's talking about, you know, that community on this level, and because of his platform and his status, you know, that whole thing, like there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? If anything, it could be, hey, look, the most popular, you know, most popular comedian at the time, and probably one of the greatest comedians of all time, is talking about us. He's bringing attention to our community. So now we can use this as a springboard to say, hey, look, Dave has said a couple things, and maybe we don't necessarily agree with how he's presented that, but we are here and we're present. And now this gives me an opportunity to talk to you about what we're trying to do and where we're at. You know what I mean?
Not
Like,
if they're
I just feel like you
offended,
could,
though. Not if they're offended.
well,
Like,
I mean,
what if that rugby player was kind of famous and like, well, this rugby player, he's talking about us, dude. So I mean,
well, no, that's what I'm saying, though. But if okay, prime example, perfect example. The rugby player says the thing about us, right? My friends and I. And we go, instead of grabbing the closest metal pipe and a bat and and you know, whatever else we can find to go over and inflict bodily harm, maybe we take that and say, hey, look, hey, we go to this school, we only make up 3% of the population, but these are some of the things that we're experiencing directly from this guy, from her mouth, I mean, from his mouth to her ears to us. He has referenced us as this thing. So instead of taking the low road and just being angry, we like to point out the racial disparities at this school, and that these and people like this should not be allowed to go to places, to schools like this, or people like this who say things like this should be called out for what they do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, turn it around and use it as a way to not necessarily venture frustrations, but like to make change, right?
yeah.
I mean, I mean, and look, not everybody's gonna be able to do that, right? And Dave is just one person. It's really just his opinion. You can honestly
But
just
he
say, I
has
don't like him.
he
He
has
has a
access to a
platform.
lot.
Yeah, he
has a
does. He does.
platform.
So I don't know, man. It just, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the special, watching it twice, and I could hear where he was coming from, like understanding analytically and scientifically. But now even dissecting it, I can see how people would get offended from the sense of like, I'm not choosing to do a thing.
Right.
Now I'm choosing to take the steps to make myself appear how I feel, but this is how I feel. And you can't tell somebody that they don't feel something.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that they
Right.
aren't what they feel they are. And
All right,
that's
so
that's it.
I didn't do my homework. Did you do your homework, bro? Did you watch some Squid Game?
I did. I watched. I
Wait, how many
did.
episodes you watch?
Well, you told me I had to watch the first two.
Oh, you did one. I didn't say that. I didn't know. Wow, you're such a good student.
Well, you said you only watched the first two episodes. You're like, yo, dude, you got to watch.
Yeah, that's all I watched
two
so
episodes.
far. The first two. I mean, the first one is all you really need to see. You're like, oh, shit's different on this show.
Hey, man, all I know is this joint right here. Green light, red light. Right? You stop there, and it's like.
And you have to really be frozen. It is not fair. No,
you do this joint right here. You go. It's over,
I
bro.
thought they were a little tough in their rules. I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but it's good. It's good, right?
It's good.
It's intriguing.
Hey, I'll tell you this much. We've only seen the first two episodes, and for those people who haven't seen Squid Games, basically it's a show out of Korea, and without giving anything away, it's there's a collection of people who are gathered that are in massive amounts of debt, and they are tasked with playing what seems to be children's games. But if you don't play well, then there are dire consequences, and that's all we'll say. So I had a friend of mine was watching it, and I saw some of it when he was watching it, and he was kind of like, everyone talking about this show is good and whatever. He's like, it hasn't really grabbed me yet. And he was like, maybe, he was in the first episode. right?
Was he watching it at work too? Like,
well, I'm not gonna say that. I'm just gonna say he was watching it.
he's
Right?
not even watching it at home or anything.
He was watching it, and he's like, it hasn't really grabbed my attention, and so I'm gonna give it a couple episodes, and if it doesn't grab me, then I'm out. Right? I see this dude 3 days later, and this dude is like, Squid Games is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. Oh my God, Squid Games is so good. And I was like, are you the same guy who was like a half an episode in? Like, yeah, I might have to tap out, bro. Like, I might have to it's like, it's not that great. We'll see. And then 3 days later, it's like, it's a television marvel. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. So yeah, man, go watch Squid Games, everybody. I'm excited about watching my 3rd episode tonight, and I might take down 2 if I start early.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
Do you watch the dubbed one, or do you watch it with the subtitles?
It's funny. I watch them both. It's got English subtitles and it's dubbed. So it's funny because the subtitles will say one thing and then the dub is saying something else.
Why would you do both?
Well, because I always have the closed captioning on. I always have it on, just because I read everything that I like. Because sometimes I'm like, what they
then
say?
You don't get to watch the screen.
No, I'm watching the screen. I can watch the screen and read at the same time, but they're saying stuff in English, but the English doesn't match up to
right. Well, see, if you get rid of the dub, and then the acting will be better.
No, the acting is great. I'm not taking anything away from it. It's not a bad experience for me.
But you'll get to hear their words the way they say it.
I know.
I mean, I don't watch it. I don't watch that way either. I've been watching dubbed because I don't want to have to read it. And exactly. They're way better than it used to be. It's not like a Godzilla movie, like where like they do dubbing way better now.
So you mean it's not like, hey,
yeah,
how are you? Will you go to the
check it out
store?
I got a new one, bro.
Basquiat, man, you all over Basquiat.
Well, this was on sale.
Jean-Michel Basquiat. Oh, cool. I went and looked him up, man, and man, do you know he lived and died before you and I were even born? Nice hoodie, bro. Yo, that's like the Joker.
It is. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Did he make the Joker before?
He did Batman and Joker, and he did all kinds like that Batman.
So Heath Ledger was doing Basquiat's Joker.
Well, I don't know if that's it, but he it was like some comics and stuff. No, he died in the 80s. We were alive when he died.
We were alive, huh? I'm tripping.
Yeah. How young do you think you are? He died in the 80s.
Yeah, and he died of a heroin overdose.
Heroin OD, man.
Jeez, man. And
Andy Warhol
he was like 20. Stuff. How old was he? He was like 27, 26 or something.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah,
he was young. I think he was younger than 27. He but he had some cool stuff, man. I like the stuff. I mean,
it's a little dark for me.
Well,
this stuff is a little dark for me. Like, it's just some, like, I look at it and I appreciate art, right? And anybody's expression. It's a little chaotic, man. Jean-Michel Basquiat. Let me see. He died in 88. So we're in 8th grade. He was born in December 22nd, 1960. He was born in Brooklyn, and then he died in Great Jones they say Great Jones Street, New York.
How old was he then? 27 or 28?
Let's see. He was aged 27.
Wow, he was in the 27 club.
Fuck. Yeah, he's 27. Man, to accomplish so much in such a short period of time, too. I mean, I read over this earlier. At 22, he was the youngest to exhibit at the Whitney Biennale in New York. The Whitney Museum of American Art held a retrospective of his artwork in 1992. So yeah, he died in 88, man. I was in 8th grade.
He met Andy Warhol.
Here he is.
In Europe. And then
Jay-Z's got his hair like that by now.
He does.
Now. Yeah.
And then he left and went and painted a portrait of the two of them, or something real quick he made. And
wait, I'm sorry, say it again.
He met Andy Warhol somewhere, at a restaurant, and then he went home, he left and painted a portrait of the two of them or something, and then he gave it to him. He went back and gave it to him after an hour. And it's just crazy. Artists have this thing where they're in that zone, and then they just probably something they're born with. So
Man, you know what I think, and I've talked about this before, I think, but there is something about artistry and pain, right?
yeah,
That
man.
go hand in hand. And I hate to say it, like I think honestly what made Richard Pryor so amazing was all the
The
messed up stuff
darkness.
he went
Yeah,
through.
the
Yeah, the
darkness.
darkness. Yeah, it's like it's almost like, and look, this I'll say this about myself. Um, I think that I think that I'm really good at what I do, and I think I can be better just on some pushing myself and challenging myself. But I don't know if I have enough darkness to be great.
Yeah, we
You
gotta
know what I
get you
mean?
on a little heroin bender and we'll make you
Yeah, exactly. I
amazing.
don't know if I got enough pain to be like world renowned.
Or
You know what I
maybe
mean?
you
Like I
haven't
think,
just tapped into it, man.
yeah,
Maybe,
maybe. I
maybe.
think I got just enough to be really good and funny and likable, like to make a good living. But I don't know if I got enough to be like, you know, like statues in front of whatever. And I'm not even trying to have that. I'm not trying to have that.
You
I
went
don't want
straight
that
to
level of pain.
statues.
Yeah, no. The Reggie statue that stands there like this.
All right, Reg, take us out, dude. I remember, you know what was funny too is in the very beginning when you're talking about your house with all your guys at college, and the first thing you dropped was, we had a Sega Genesis.
Yeah, man. Come over and get the gaming, dude. That's it right there. Hey, dude, I got this right here. So, all right. First off, I want to apologize for Sal not having seen the closer, and we talked about it. So next week, hopefully he's seen it. And we can touch on it. But next week we have a guest. We have
Oh yeah,
Chad Daniels,
that's
a
right.
good friend of mine who's a nationally touring headliner. He's super popular. I say check him out on Spotify and Pandora. Now he's got albums on there, and the guy is hilarious. So super excited to have him next week. Get a chance to talk to him and about his journey and where he's from and where he's at now and how things have affected him and you know what it's like to be back out there on the road again. So please tune in next week. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We always have fun doing it, and we thank you for tuning in and watching us. That's Sal Kalani. I'm Reggie Steele, and this has been Spitballin'. Peace.